The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
TV party tonight! TV party tonight! We're firing up the TV party party tonight! Alright, alright, alright! Screens light up, brains shut down, talking trash about the best shows in town. No homework, no disguise, just hot takes on the studio live. Lock in, hit play, let the noise begin. Lock in another episode, another spin. No ratings, no mercy, no skipping the commercials of culture. TV party tonight. TV party tonight. Same screen, same fight, same damn podcast tonight. All right.
No matter how many times I hear it, I never get used to that new theme song. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, and Comer, you're muted. John, you're muted.
Sorry. I was gonna say I miss Black Flag, but that is kind of working for me.
Well, it wasn't Black Flag. It was Futurama covers Black Flag.
Yes, but still a Black Flag song.
Fair enough. All right, welcome to TV Party tonight. I'm your host, Alexis Hejna. Joining me, he's got himself nice and cozy with, I'm assuming that's an energy drink.
Yeah, I got a long night ahead of me after I pick Anne up after the podcast. So yes, I am fueling up. I'm also waiting for the gummy to kick in. So.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Okay, viewers at
Always.
home, see if you could tell when the gummy kicks in. Comment below. Let us know when you see the light go out in his eyes, okay?
My coworkers often cannot tell when I am high and when I am sober. So good luck with that.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see who gets it right. Maybe they'll win a fabulous prize. I don't know. We'll see what we can afford. Joining me, Mr. Sean Comer. Hello there.
Hey, it's so different doing a show with anyone co-hosting except for Mark, and I almost feel like a kid who's been left with a babysitter.
Oh dear God! You think I want that kind of pressure of being your babysitter? I've known you for 25 years.
Hey! Look, when I volunteered for this, you didn't have to say yes. You could have said thanks, but no thanks.
Oh, very true. But who else am I going to get to talk Percy Jackson? Yes, folks, we're looking at the second season of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is based off of the hit young adult book series by Rick Riordan. First season was a smash hit on Disney Plus, and now we are taking a look at the second season, which is based off of the second book, The Sea of Monsters. That book came out in 2006. The second season debuted in December of 2025. Returning, of course, we got our cast of Walker Scobell, Leia Savage-Jeffries, Aryan Simhadri. We get some new characters with Daniel Demon coming in as Tyson, Percy's Cyclops half-brother. We get a little bit more of a handful of our favorite Greek characters, including Jason Mantzoukas, I think is how you pronounce his name, as Mr. D, a.k.a. Dionysus, who is basically watching the camp with directions to stay sober, and he hates that. We get Timothy Simmons coming in as King Tantalus, who was briefly released from the fields of punishment to act as the interim activities director of Camp Half-Blood, and he brings all the snark of Tartarus with him. We also get Tamara Smart coming in as Thalia Grace, the powerful and rebellious daughter of Zeus, who has been briefly discussed throughout the series. Now she finally makes her on-screen debut. We, of course, get the return of Lin-Manuel Miranda as Hermes, Messenger of the Gods. Although, surprisingly, unlike the first season, they only had him in once. So I guess they said, okay, even though we have Lin-Manuel Miranda and we're going to use Lin-Manuel Miranda, this time we are not overusing Lin-Manuel Miranda. They did not pass that along to Adam Copeland as Ares, who returns, even though in Sea of Monsters, Ares never actually physically appears. But again, You got Adam Copeland. You're going to use Adam Copeland.
Did you really think they overused Hermes in season 1?
It's not a case of they overuse. Well, okay, we talked about this briefly in season 1 because I did have a major pet peeve with having Hermes being the owner of the Lotus Eaters Casino and Hotel, considering that being the god of travelers, it makes no sense whatsoever why Hermes would want people to get trapped there. We did joke, Jason and I joked on the series, though, that if you look at what Lin-Manuel Miranda's wearing, it's just a sweatshirt. It's like, oh, let's face it, he just walked onto the set and they threw him in there for the hell of it. I am convinced he wasn't supposed to be in that scene originally.
But then again, I mean, he's also the god of thieves and liars. And what are casinos but one giant legitimized hustle?
Very true. We also got Toby Stevens coming in as Poseidon, Percy's father, and Courtney B. Vance replacing the late Lance Reddick as Zeus, king of the gods. Aka, Mister, you do not want to fuck with this guy. And credit to Courtney B. Vance. Those are some pretty big shoes to fill, and I thought he did an amazing job for the brief scene he was a Zeus. Again, with Lance Reddick, you got that threatening feel in his performance, and I feel that Mr. Vance more than fulfills that role. So kudos to him. So the second book, we have Percy, Tyson, and Annabeth heading back to Camp Half-Blood after they are picked up by Kristen Shaw, Margaret Cho, and Sandra Bernhard playing the Greys. That is one hell of an interesting casting combination.
But it works.
Yes, it does.
It fucking works. I didn't even realize that was Sandra Bernhard. I don't know how.
Yeah, I had to, well, because with the makeup, you can't see the lips.
Well, you say lips. I think of Sandra Bernhard. The first thing I think of is that nose.
That too.
That and I hate to sound like I'm making too much fun of her because I never want to make fun of somebody for something they really can't naturally help. But that Owen Wilson nose of hers is what kind of always makes her stick out to me.
See, for me, it was always the lips that stupidly. She's got very full, very large lips that I'm going to be blunt. I see her and I always think it's like, close your mouth. Oh, you are closing your mouth. Never mind. I'm sorry. Again, I'm with you. Don't want to make fun of someone how it looks, but that's what I notice is she's got huge lips. So we got that with them returning them to Camp Half-Blood and to find out that Thalia's tree, the border has been poisoned. The barrier is going to start coming down. We got monsters on the outside who are trying to get in. And it looks like we got another quest underway to find the golden fleece of Jason and the Argonauts fame, to fix the tree, and to save Camp Half-Blood. So this book, the second season, it actually takes a lot, not just from Jason and the Argonauts, but also a lot from the Odyssey. I do love it. Again, we get a lot of really nice comparisons with various Greek myths. How the scene of them in the Grey Sisters cab, with Percy getting a hold of the eye and threatening to throw it out, that is a classic reference to Perseus's myth when he barters with the Grey Sisters. Basically, they share an eye and a tooth in the classic Greek myth. And he takes it from him and he's like, tell me what I want to know or you ain't getting these things back. So, Percy's been listening. He's been listening to the stories of his namesake. He knows what to do. Now, one of the things I did notice is that they really trimmed a lot of the fat in this season. There is a lot that they cut for plot points. For example, again, we get Tyson, the Cyclops half-brother of Percy, who in the series, they know he's a Cyclops right away. They could see through his disguise, the mist, as it were, the supernatural ability for the Greek mythological figures to hide in plain sight. But in the book, it wasn't revealed that he was a Cyclops until they got to Camp Half-Blood. And again, I'm debating whether or not that was a smart move. On one hand, it does save, I think, a lot of extra padding. Because when they have the revelation that he's also his brother, that's a lot to take in. And I do feel that revealing earlier on that he was a Cyclops, I think makes it a little bit better. Not to mention, also gives a better understanding of why he's so awkward around Percy and the other humans. Because he was brought up on the streets, he clearly doesn't understand a lot of human interactions. I think some of his actions, but well, I don't know, but no. I do think. What did you think about the idea of having them reveal that he was a Cyclops on the very first episode instead of revealing it at Camp Half-Blood when he's revealed as Poseidon's son?
Well, disclaimer, I meant to get to the first 2 books before this podcast, but a lot of things came up, one of which being the fact that I'm also a member of the book club at my employer. And I had first one and now a second book that I had to kind of keep up with for that. So that kind of sapped a lot of my attention. But after hearing what you just told me, I'm kind of glad they got the reveal out of the way early. And this is going to sound superficial, but fuck it. It sounds to me like if you were to have this character who all of a sudden first he's revealed to be a Cyclops, and then all of a sudden he's revealed to, dun dun dun, he's also Percy's long lost brother. Okay, now it just feels like you're stacking the twists almost soap opera style. So I think kind of keeping it a little bit more reasonable, and especially with the fact that they leaned so heavily in the first season into the idea that the monsters and the demigods and the creatures of myth, they're actually hiding right there in plain sight and just very carefully masqueraded so that the normies don't get smartened up. I think that lends itself pretty well to being able to cleverly have Tyson just walking around as this kind of endearingly clumsy hulk of a Cyclops that's tooling around with Percy. It just kind of makes sort of a charming kind of sense in this world to me. So I got to admit, I kind of like that.
I also give credit this over the second live-action movie that came out a while back, which actually was so bad it ended the run of book adaptations on this, which allowed Disney to say, hey, how about we actually do this right? In the book,
Silver lining.
Yeah, no kidding. Tyson is revealed as a Cyclops, but he is given a mist protection spell, so he looks human, but this is basically their way of saying, okay, we only have the budget to make him look like a Cyclops for a few minutes. Okay, here, now you look normal. Good. Just save the CGI artist from having a panic attack. This show, we do not see him as other humans see him. We see him as a Cyclops the whole time. Also shows just how freaky Taranga Leela would look like in real life. But I do credit that we actually keep that look on him the entire time he's on screen. I felt that it would have been cheating if it had been, again, okay, let's just see him how other humans see him. Or let's just give you something to make it look like you have 2 eyes. It really did make it better.
I have to give Disney credit for something. With their budget and their resources, they could have gone MCU pants on head bug fuck nanners with the special effects. But I think that showing some degree of restraint, especially in terms of how much they really lean into practical effects, at least as much as digital, and how they didn't go too far with a lot of the creature designs and a lot of the effects. I think it prevented the visuals from being too distracting and kept them as more of a complement to what was, I think, a much more character-driven season and a much more dramatic, slow burn build than the first season was.
And again, they really cut to a lot of the plot points. So we know, so in the book, Talia the tree is poisoned, but we don't know why. Chiron, the centaur trainer of the demigods, is suspected because he is a son of Kronos. He is a son of a Titan. And that's why he is put on leave from the camp, because they don't know if they can trust him. And the Disney Plus series, We see Luke poisoning the tree. There is no question whatsoever. Chiron's just been put on leave because, again, oh, well, you are the son of Kronos. Maybe we can't 100% trust you. But it has nothing to do with his suspicion of, like, did he poison the tree or did he not poison the tree? You know, they know he didn't. One of the big parts of the climax is Percy tricking Luke into revealing that he poisoned the tree during an iris message, the IMs as they call them in the book. So that clears Chiron's name. Again, this show really is cutting to the chase. Like, no, we know it was Luke. Okay, we know Luke's someone who poisoned it. And probably the most interesting aspect is that they don't know about the Golden Fleece healing Thalia and returning her to human form until the end of the book. It literally, there's a reason the last chapter is called "The Fleece Works Too Well" or "The Fleece Works a Little Better Than They Thought" or something like that, because they put it on the tree and it heals the poison, and then all of a sudden the tree turns into Thalia, and they're like, oh, geez, that can happen. Oh, okay. But again, it does tie back to the whole, well, maybe Kronos was planning on that because we have the great prophecy and he wanted Thalia to come back. Here we get so much discussion about whether or not Thalia could actually be healed in the first place, if Thalia could appear. And what does that mean? You have a lot of back scenes showing how close she was with Luke, and now Luke is feeling torn between his allegiance to Kronos and the idea that he can save a friend of his who he thought was dead. But I'm just also going to say it. Really? Another prophecy, guys? Really? There's a line in the show. It's like, wait, there's a prophecy? And Grover goes, isn't there always? And it made me laugh because there are so many series, young adult and all ages combined, where it's always a prophecy, a chosen one. You know, from Harry Potter to Neo in the Matrix. I don't know. When I hear about there's a prophecy, I'm sorry, I can't help but go like this.
But there's something that I kind of like about the fact that they put it right out front. It prevents the story from devolving into kind of another typical YA whodunit and mystery, and into something that is more of kind of a race to the MacGuffin, but it's a race that plays out at such a pace throughout the season that you really get to spend some time with each of these characters, and not just their motivations, but a lot of their trauma and their anxiety. And I think the idea that destiny in this series, as opposed to a lot of others, is played very realistically as not something to necessarily be proud of, not necessarily something you throw in everyone's face, but something that is a burden, and often just this out and out fucking curse.
I could see that. Well, starting at the earlier part of the season, I freaking loved Tantalus as the interim activities director.
Oh yeah.
He is I have not seen a character this sarcastic and snarky since the 90s. Okay? This guy is hilarious.
When you say 90s, who are you thinking?
Honestly, I was kind of thinking he was sort of channeling Daria and Jane. Who were you thinking?
Well, when you said 90s, that's kind of what I was asking. Was you kind of left me genuinely curious there as to who you were thinking about. Okay, why were you thinking Daria and Jane?
I don't know. They're usually the first two I think of when I think of pure, unadulterated sarcasm and snark.
I could see that. See, who I thought of... God, I almost don't want to say it because I want to see how long I can make it through the show without bringing this fucking series up. almost like Snape if he were played by somebody with a wit that was somehow drier than Alan Rickman's.
I could see that, but I don't know. Tantalus comes across almost when you hear Snape, you still hear a note of, okay, I'm still here to teach and inspire. With Tantalus, all I hear dripping out of his mouth is shoot me now. But considering that he's been in the pit for 2,000 years, and I mean, you are familiar with Tantalus's punishment according to Greek mythos.
I'm embarrassed to say I am not, because I've always been far more impressed by your knowledge of Greek mythology.
Okay, let me put it this way. This is a punishment you have heard of. I'm willing to bet you just forgot that it was his punishment. It's literally like, just what I was like, oh yeah, that was him. Tantalus basically killed and tried to serve his son to the Greek gods to curry their favor. He was placed in a pool of water with a fruit tree over his head. But every time he reached up to pick the fruit, the winds would blow it away. And every time he leaned down to get a drink of water from the pool, the water would go out of his reach. That's why you get so many scenes when talking about how he can't eat or drink because he cannot. And the big scene at the end of him grabbing the chicken leg and being like, oh my God, my curse has been lifted. Oh, there's a fireball. Pfft, dead.
See, I feel so superficial now because as you were explaining that, the first thing that came to my mind was actually Captain Barbossa in Pirates of the Caribbean.
There is a parallel. There is a parallel to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is actually where we get the word tantalizing. Tantalus, tantalizing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I was now 3 seconds ago old when I finally learned that shit.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those. A lot of people, you hear about that. You hear about the boulder constantly being pushed up the hill and whatnot. So,
Sisyphus, yeah.
Yeah, it's often a case of you've heard of the punishment, you've heard of the myth, you just don't remember who's the victim in all of that. So, but yeah, that's why it's so great the way this guy plays him. Just because, again, this guy has been in the pit in Tartarus for I'm going to say 2,000 years, probably, if not longer. Unable to eat, unable to drink, and I love all the scenes. You got Mr. D just helping himself to a bag of popcorn in front of him, and he's just staring. I was like, sorry, just probably offended the poor guy. So yeah, he is fun. He's an asshole all the way, but
yeah.
It's a lot of fun, There's a joy in a character like this. Hell, I love the line where he's giving the rules of the chariot race. It's like cheating allowed, dirty tricks encouraged. Mr. D goes, wait, you forgot no killing, and he goes, killing not so much, but things happen, etc., etc. So yeah, that of course leads to the chariot race to see who will get to go on the quest to retrieve the golden fleece. When we have the, I'm just gonna say it, the slightly better special effects from Birdemic getting through the barrier and going after the kids. Because yeah, again, this show has a very high budget and most of the special effects look good, but the scene of the birds going after the kids in the stadium, like, oh dear God, that looks really fake. Sorry guys, probably need to put that scene in the rendering session for another hour before you put it in there, because I actually wrote, oh no, it's Birdemic.
Yeah, that was not a high point. I actually like the chariot sequence, but the birds did not wow me. Yeah.
Chariot sequence was fine. I freaking love that Clarice attacks Hephaestus's chariot, or the Hephaestus's cabin's chariot, because they're literally trying to do a horseless chariot, steam power, steampunk style, and they can't even get across the start line because of it. And yeah, I do love the chariots. I love the action. Love seeing Tyson and Percy working together in the Poseidon chariot. Whenever those two are on screen, this show has amazing casting as far as finding actors with great chemistry. The scenes of Percy and Grover talking to each other through their dreams, and the fact is that they have created an empathy link because they are best friends, which in the
Mhm.
wrong hands would have sounded like something out of My Little Pony. But it's believable between these two kids. We can talk ponies another day. We're not talking ponies right now. We're talking Greek gods.
One thing I liked about this is I like that the relationships in this show, you don't really see an imbalance where it kind of feels like one side is really being carried by someone else, where someone else is kind of feels like everything is being handed to them. Real sense of the plot armor is strong with this one, and someone else is sort of always the deus ex machina that's kind of bullshitting up the solutions.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of feels like everyone is both fighting their own battles and everyone is more than capable, kind of in their own way, and that's kind of on the heroes and the villain side, and the anti-heroes and the we don't really know yet. Nothing. I can't really say that much this season that anybody accomplishes really feels unearned.
Mm-hmm. Hell, even Clarice, who did appear in the Sea of Monsters movie that came out, and frankly was really poorly written. She was really dumbed down to just a total bully rather than someone who is a daughter of Ares and has this nature of I am the daughter of the god of war and I feel the pressure put on me for that. Which also is why I love having Adam Copeland come in as Ares, because the scene where he talks to her, he pretty much threatens her. He says like,
Oh,
"Oh,
know pretty much about it. It's unambiguous.
yeah." The fact that he gives her these warriors risen from the dead, and he makes it clear, it's like, yeah, they lost in battle to me. You'd think I'd get a better selection, but no. It's like, sorry, dude. That's where Athena comes in. She's the goddess of war, so she probably gets the champions, not you.
Well, and I mean, that's very much Adam's personality. He is not somebody that you necessarily turn to for a role where you're looking to necessarily engender sympathy. It's not that he can't do it, it's just not what he does best. What he does best is being a kind of maniacal but still very cunning opportunist with a short fuse. This is truly Adam Copeland channeling Edge into a Disney show, and I am here for it.
We talked when we reviewed the first season. When I saw him as Ares, I was like, oh, hell yes. And the scene of him fanning
Perfect
a Twitter
Ares.
war on his phone, I'm like, of course, Ares, the god of war, would be an internet troll. Well, that is just too perfect. Although that does bring the interesting question. How does somebody fighting in the streaming wars end up in the same level as an Argonaut? Because one of Clarice's crewmen is a Blockbuster Video employee who said he lost his life in the streaming wars.
That was one of the jokes that I really kind of rolled my eyes at, because I don't want to put on the tinfoil hat and think that was Disney maybe spiking the ball a little bit. But on the other hand, it was just kind of such a dumbass referential. Like the Twitter thing, I actually liked that because that felt very much like you and I were kind of talking online before the show, and I talked about how the way that kind of very thin line between the mortal world and Olympus and kind of the world of myth kind kind of gets blurred at times in a way that lends itself to a real nice kind of urban fantasy vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And how it reminded me of American Gods, and how the gods in Neil Gaiman's book were, not just trotting around being their archaic old selves. They were adapting to the changing times as best they were able to. That's kind of what it feels like with Ares, is because he is, of course, there's no other way to put it. He is the everlasting shit stirrer. And, of course, if you're going to sow seeds of dissent that are going to eventually evolve into something much greater and much harder to control, and that's going to dovetail much more swiftly, then in the year of our holy clusterfuck, 2020, when did season 1 come out? 2024? 23?
Yeah. Yep. Almost.
Yeah.
I think this one got a little delayed because of the double writer's strike.
Yeah, sure. I mean, what better way for a god to sow modern conflict than to skip nuclear arms races and civil wars and ethnic cleansing and all that? Just go to Twitter. You'll sow enough discord and animosity to feed you for a lifetime. Baby, you eating good.
Ares was behind Pizzagate.
Yeah, plausible.
But yeah, like I said, the guy on the cruise ship in the Blockbuster video, sure, just was like, wait, what? that took me a few minutes to figure out. But again, Clarice is a pretty good character. She is not, she's an anti-hero, I would say. She's not a bad person per se. She is on the side of Camp Half-Blood. She's not joining Luke's crusade. She understands, no, a war between the gods and the Titans is not right. She wants to prove herself to her father, who, is the god of war, and has threatened her, saying, okay, so you know what happens when you fail, right? So, again, I get that. I get that character. We do have a couple of other characters who were added for the series. Allison was a new character created for the show. She wasn't in the book. I think she was
she the redhead?
Yeah.
I'm not always great at remembering character names, so I may need you to help me out with that.
It's all right. She's the daughter of Apollo. I think she was added in to help give a little bit more plot and exposition, so we don't just have the main characters just talking to themselves out loud to figure stuff out. Having another character in to move the action along a little bit more, kind of a pipe layer, if you will. Not to mention, you also get a new one. She's an enforcer. She fights under Luke, so we get some pretty badass action scenes of her with her bow and arrow. I mean,
hair like fire, alabaster skin, good with a bow. You know what? That's actually kind of a clever way of almost saying it without saying it. I'm like that.
Missing something. What? I clearly missed the reference.
Oh no, I'm just and I don't know. Maybe this is just kind of me seeing things that aren't there. But okay, you have a character, hair the color of fire, good with a bow, turns out to be Apollo's daughter. In a subtle kind of way, it kind of almost feels like a way of saying it without saying it, and I kind of approve of it.
Okay, I'll give you that. We also get Cersei appearing, played by Rosemary DeWitt, although I'm just going to say it. I'm personally more excited to see Charlize Theron play the role in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey coming out later this year, because holy crap, perfect casting. Although I don't think Charlize Theron is going to turn Matt Damon's men into guinea pigs.
Aww. I kind of want the Matt Damon guinea pig.
Well, it's kind of fun. It is a funny play on it, because in the original legend, Cersei did turn the men into pigs. And now it's like, there's no pigs. Guinea pigs. Oh, wait. Hang on. Hang on, what am I doing? It's like, why am I miming the drums? I have Pinkie Pie on standby. There's your ponies. This was an interesting take on Cersei, though. The idea that she isn't so much trapping them against their will, she traps them under the fear that they can't get out. And the idea that these demigods, these warriors all on quests, stay with her, not because of fear of what she will do. They don't think of themselves as her prisoners. They think of themselves as, well, she's trying to help us. We're just not ready. It's kind of a nice little psychological look at it. Because, yeah, Cersei was condemned to live on the island by herself. And, yeah, she just lived with all of her animal friends.
Well, and again, I mean,
Fluttershy.
to me, that just rings as another example of the theme of both surviving and kind of being burdened and shaped by trauma. Because I mean, how relatable is that to kind of always have some kind of authoritative adult figure or elder figure, or just a generally more authoritative figure that's above you and is kind of constantly manipulating you into thinking, look, you're not enough, but if you just stay here with me, if you just stay here with mama, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah,
I
sadly,
mean, how many of us have struggled to get out from under that thumb?
I would say that's a form of abuse a lot of people are way too familiar with.
Yeah.
So yeah, love that. I got such a hard laugh though, because we get a scene where she turns Percy into the guinea pig and puts him in the cage, and this other guinea pig. Thank God they don't have the guinea pig's talk, but there is subtitles, and the guinea pig squeaks and says, "My name is Eddie. Get comfortable." And then they turn back and they're pirates, and I go, "Wait, Eddie, Edward Teach, Black. Okay, bravo, clap, clap." I was like, okay, I salute you. That was a good joke. And he offers Percy a stalk of celery as his reward because Lord knows how long he's been stuck as a guinea pig.
May I offer you a hunk of celery in this trying time?
Suppose I'm not getting carrots. Again, that was a really good scene. What did you think of the depiction of this? I have never seen the sirens depicted like this. We'll talk about the way they mesmerize Annabeth and her illusion, but right now I just want to talk about the design. That they're rocks. They're these rock sculptures almost that kind of come to life and start moving the closer you get.
To be honest, I saw a few criticisms of the show as I was kind of looking around online that criticized they didn't really feel like the monsters were terrifying enough. I kind of beg to differ. Because I feel like the way sirens are so often depicted is they're these absolute bombshells right up until you get close enough that there's just no mistaking it anymore, until it's already too late.
Mm-hmm. It is a myth on the classic concept of seduction. The minute when you get too close, you realize it's too late.
True. But I like the fact that this makes it kind of both. How can I put this? There's a way that depiction, as much as I get where it's coming from, I feel like it kind of says a little bit too much by being a little bit too obvious, to where either whoever went with that is kind of expecting you to either get it right away, or they think you're a dumb fuck. This kind of plays it a little bit differently because it kind of, for us anyway, you know, the audience, omniscient and everything, we're kind of seeing it as it is right off the bat. So the dread is already kind of creeping up. And in their true form, I believe that, again, it's that sense of restraint and that sense of being artful instead of trying to be over the top and leaning into the most grotesque, like Junji Ito vision that you can imagine. I think that the subtlety actually makes them a little more scary and unsettling, to be honest. And I like the fact that you can see them, and then, you know, a beat later, you can see their illusion. And how they somehow manage to even kind of lull you into just enough of a false sense of security that when Athena drops in, breaks feet off in asses, and then has that touching little moment with Annabeth, you almost think that, okay, we've seen another demigod possibly on the way down to making peace with their parent. All right, this is good. We're healing the trauma. And then it turns out, nah.
That is,
and it still manages to be scary. It still manages to be tense. So I really applaud them with going outside of the box and not feeling like every creature in this series has to be a Clash of the Titans or a Jason and the Argonauts knockoff.
Well, let's face it, no one's ever going to create anything as awesome as Harryhausen.
Mm-mm. No.
But that illusion really was impressive. In the books, yeah. Now, in the books, Percy gets the wax, puts it in his ear, and ties Annabeth up, but she manages to cut herself loose, and he pulls her out before it gets too late. And I had crap in my throat. Sorry about that. And this one, they lose the wax, so Percy gets tied up, and Annabeth still goes to the island where the sirens are, but you get the idea that she's going there with a plan. She's like, I know I'm going to be put under their spell, and I'll be able to fight. And then you realize, yeah, the sirens know how to counter that. They know.
Because Annabeth always has a fucking plan.
Mm-hmm. But guess what? So do the sirens. And yeah, putting an illusion within an illusion, that is cruel and genius. It reminds me a lot of that scene in 1408 when John Cusack's character thinks he's escaped the room. He thinks the whole thing was a dream. And he wakes up on the beach and he thinks it was all a dream for when he got knocked out while surfing. And he goes about his business. And then it's not until much later that the rooms start tearing down on him and he realizes he's back in the room and he never left. The cruelty in that is just unbearable.
That's making me think of Oculus.
Also, good reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of Flanagan's best early films, if I do say so myself.
Oh, yeah. Best thing to ever come out of WWE studios.
So we got that. We talked about Cersei. Did really also enjoy the scene with them taking the ship between Scalia, something, and Charvis. Again, this is straight out of the Odyssey, and they even reference it because in the Odyssey, Odysseus is told you have to go directly between these two. You go too closely to one, Scalia's going to pull your men off the ship. You go the other, you're going to get sucked into the whirlpool. But Odysseus has to make the brutal choice of realizing if Scylla takes my men, she'll only take like 6 men at the most. That's all she can take at a time because that's just the amount of. Okay, they say it's tentacles, but I remember reading the myth that they were like heads, kind of like a hydra sort of thing. So I don't know, but either way, there's only 6 of them. It's like they take 6 men, or we all get sucked into the whirlpool. And he has to make that brutal choice of sacrificing 6 of his men to get through. And Clarice goes through the same thing, but she doesn't want to lose any of her men. She wants to give them the promise of going into the fields of Elysium. She wants to give them that peace. So she,
and I love that about her. I really do. I know that she's supposed to, like you said, she's an anti-hero. She is absolutely not all, you know, coming rainbows and farting cotton candy. But I love that she feels a sense of empathy and kinship, and she's genuinely kind of rooting for these lovable losers. Almost like she knows that her dad is not a good guy, and he's not going to take it well if they fail his kid. And she clearly does not want to have that on her head. You know, she does not want her shortcomings to explicitly be the death of somebody else. Now, if she whoops Percy's ass, that's one thing. That's just her handling her business. And if she gets her ass kicked, well, that's on her. But you know, she's not going to have somebody else going to their end doing something that she wasn't about to do herself. So I grudgingly have to respect that.
Mm-hmm. Although admittedly, that is the parallel of the choice. The idea of sometimes you have to make a sacrifice, and sometimes, you know, it literally comes down to small wound or death. She doesn't want to lose all of her men, but I don't think there was any way, even with the celestial bronze weapons, that she could have defeated Charbus.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did love the scene of Percy trying to reverse the tides and calling out to Tyson to give him more power. Again, really well done shot there.
I don't mind a good I understood that reference moment.
See here. Sorry, just going over my notes here. So, among other things, Luke gets Percy gets his one of his signature side characters now, Blackjack the Pegasus, who I love that he can talk to because, of course, he can. His father invented horses. Literally, Poseidon created the horse.
I did not know that.
Yep. It was an attempt to impress Athena. Created them out of the foam in the waves as they crashed onto the beach.
This is why I've missed these conversations between you and I. Because so often I always learned something else that reframed something and just never quite got away from me.
Well, I am a nerd.
Just saying.
And I do love the scene of his mother. She's like, it's okay. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend. Of course. Just again, that little pull back to reality. It's like, my son is talking to a flying horse. That was another change, actually, from the book. Originally, Chiron showed up with his friends to help save them off of the Andromeda. It was not Percy's mother, but I was okay with her getting more screen time. She's a fun actress.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the fun thing, though. The friends and family of Chiron who came on, well, they were all... The ship docks in Miami, not in the Northeast. And they're all there partying. And his friends are actually called, I kid you not, the Party Ponies. Do I need to give you a minute?
No, you're fine. That's too fucking perfect.
Yeah, especially when you have it's confirmed that Chiron likes Mariah Carey. That wasn't Mariah Carey. They blast on the boombox, John Cusack style, to get rid of the birds, wasn't it?
I guess it was. In fact, yeah, it said that in the subtitles.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love Annabeth's reaction when she's going through his storage locker and she's like, a tape of Mariah Carey? Are you kidding me?
That's true. I guess it Weirdly enough, I guess it's early Mariah Carey, so it sounds a little bit different from the Mariah that you and I are probably more used to. But now think about it, yeah, that was a Mariah Carey song. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they said get something high pitched and loud to drive off the birds. So
Look, it's gonna be either that or that weird opera song from The Fifth Element.
I was going to say very early Christina Aguilera, but sure, that works too.
Christina Aguilera would work too.
Actually, no, not early Christina Aguilera, much later Christina Aguilera when she got out of the when the studio basically stopped trying to package her as a second coming of Britney Spears.
So we're talking from the stripped album kind of onward. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, like Moulin Rouge soundtrack, her doing Lady Marmalade, that kind of singing.
Yeah, I guess that would be more effective for running birds off than oh shit. What was the name of the album where she kind of went in a little bit more of almost a jazzy kind of direction?
I have absolutely no idea. I have never been a Christina Aguilera fan.
I'm blanking. I want to say it was like the one either right before or right after she had her first kid.
Any of our listeners, Christina Aguilera fans, feel
Yeah,
free to chime in on the comment section.
put it
Let us
this
know
way.
what we're thinking.
The one that had Candyman on it. I'm trying not to cop out and just look it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see.
I don't have a lot more notes on this. I will say it has been confirmed. We did get a sneak peek that season 3, which is going to be looking at what is the name of the third book, The Titan's Curse, has been confirmed. They've either already finished filming or they're pretty close to finishing because we're going to get that later this year. And you know that we will be back to reviewing it. We're going to get a lot more characters, a lot more look at the prophecy. Sorry, I will be rolling my eyes every time I have to say it. And we will be introduced to a couple of more characters who may also fit into the prophecy if it's not Luke or Thalia.
So I got to ask, what did you think about the season overall?
Really, really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed the first season a little bit more, but that is just
Really?
purely from a taste perspective. It is not a case of I thought this was a weaker season. I think I just enjoyed the thrills of the first one a little bit more. I did really enjoy all of the comparisons of the Odyssey. I loved the special effects for the most part. They looked great. Loved all of the new actors who came in for roles. I am very much so enjoying this build up that we're going to get of the war of the Titans and the gods. Excuse me.
So you're really liking the slow build then.
Exactly. I think one of my favorite things though are these kid actors. This is something that always bugs me in a lot of series is that a lot of times they end up aging up the actors to play the younger roles. And this is simply because when you have roles that are written for much younger actors, it is very hard to get a really good performance out of much younger kids. This is why when we talk Interview with the Vampire, both the movie and the series, we have to point out the book age of Claudia versus the age of Kristen Dunst in the movie versus the age of the actress who played her in the AMC series.
Well, and just as an aside, I read Jeanette McCurdy's memoir recently, and she pointed out something that I often forget as well, and that is that she got a lot of work even as she aged into puberty because she was already naturally, so short, so lacking in height, and her abusive absolute demon mother was so militant about her calorie restriction that she was able to kind of keep that prepubescent build long enough that she could get those younger roles from producers who were happy to hire her because her being older, they didn't have to restrict her hours as much.
I gotcha. But again, this is a problem. Again, we have the Percy Jackson movies that came out. The actor who played Percy, Logan Lerman, in the first movie, he already looks like he's 17 years old. And he's supposed to be, 12, 13. They say that he's 3 years away from the prophecy age of 16 in this one. So he's got to be 12 or 13 in the first book, in the first or in the first series. And they actually went with younger actors who are really good. And we could see them age a little bit more progressively and see them coming into the roles a little bit more naturally. Probably also a good thing why we got the third season coming out, because Lord knows they don't need to say, oh, yeah, he's 16. Then why does he look like he could buy me a drink?
So are you also kind of referencing the same thing that was sort of an issue with both It Chapter 2 and Stranger Things?
A little bit of that, a little bit of the Harry Potter series. This is just a problem that, unfortunately, a lot of series that focus on kids have to deal with.
Yeah, I thought the Harry Potter series did handle it pretty well for the most part.
A little bit. There was a lot of jokes at the in the 7th and 8th movies that I was like, those kids are supposed to be 17, really? But I think a lot of that was not necessarily at our three main characters. It was at a lot of the other actors. I will still say that Tom Felton looked way old. He was the oldest, I believe, out of the main cast. And he did not look 17. Sorry. That kid.
So it's more of a 90210 problem.
Exactly. But again, this is a problem you have, is that you have to get this stuff filmed quickly because your kids are going to continue to age. They're growing up. They're going to go through puberty. And you have to get this stuff done before they look too old to convincingly play the part. So again, that's a good thing why they cast such younger actors in this. And these kids are great. They have amazing chemistry. They're really good. I love Walker as Percy. Although I'm also laughing because I'm trying to look up what the name of the movie is. He was, I think, like a younger version of Ryan Reynolds in one of his earlier films. Hang on, let me look up what that was. Yeah, The Adam Project. Please go faster, internet. Yeah, Scoville plays Ryan Reynolds' 12-year-old self, and there were more than a few scenes in this season where I looked, I'm like, well, he's clearly going to turn into a young Ryan Reynolds, because some of his acting, there was just a little bit of that Reynolds, I don't want to say snark, but that, what would you call it? What would you say? What would you do? The Ryan Reynolds snark, but it's not snark, it's something else. What would you call it?
No, it really isn't. He has the personality of like an absolute charming dork, a total comedy relief character. But then he made the Amityville Horror remake, and he came out of that with the body of a romance novel cover model.
Yeah, no kidding.
So the former description kind of feels a little bit off describing him that way.
The scene when Polyphemus cuts the rope when he's trying to get out of the cave and he falls into Clarice. Clarice catches him, and there's just a brief moment where she's holding him and he looks and goes, "Hi." And she drops him. I literally was like, holy shit, it's Ryan Reynolds 2.0. That moment, I saw nothing but Ryan Reynolds.
And there is nothing wrong with seeing nothing but Ryan Reynolds. I'm back.
You're making me want to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine for an umpteenth time.
And if you can see nothing but Ryan Reynolds and Paul Rudd, all the better.
But again, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't see that in part of Percy's portrayal in this series.
No, I totally do. I just kind of, what I like about it though is the fact that although there is that kind of charm, that kind of glib, easygoing awkwardness about him, the fact that it never devolves into, well, kind of like Daniel Radcliffe in a lot of the Harry Potter movies, a sense of just looking at him or even at Rupert Grint and going, the fuck are you still alive for? How? And that's something that's just in general, and fuck it, you know what? We've made one Harry Potter reference. All sins are equal at this point. I love the fact that of the main heroes in particular, of Annabeth, Grover, and Percy, it's a meme. It feels often like Harry Potter is much more Hermione Granger's story of having to perpetually save these two chuckle fucks who would rather cut their own dicks off than listen to her.
And let's face it, Annabeth does kind of fit into that a little bit, especially in the first book.
Yes, but at the same time, because I was actually thinking about that earlier while I was getting ready for the show. And I thought back to the scene at the Lotus Hotel from the first season, probably one of my favorite episodes in the entire season. And it was the sequence with the Golden Throne, where Percy has kind of already foreseen something like this happening, and he's played things very close to the vest. He knows what sacrifice he's going to have to make. And he is just down to do it. There's no hesitation on his part whatsoever. That doesn't feel like Annabeth is necessarily saving him because he was a dumbass. He was well aware of what the risks were. He was well aware of what the price was. And while he's absolutely not the smartest guy in the room and absolutely does a lot of very dumb things, this was not one of them. This was Annabeth scrambling to save his life, not because he didn't listen, but simply because she's thinking his heart's in the right place. He means well. He's trying to do good. And God damn it, he shouldn't have to die for that. Of all things, no matter what he believes, no matter what the Oracle told him, that shouldn't be the reason he dies, is because he wanted to do the right thing. I like that. And I like how they each really have their foibles that really get them into the shit. All three of them do, including Annabeth. In Annabeth's case, it's because she's really stuck in the bubble where what she is, a demigod, is all she is. It's all she knows how to be. It's not just that she's never had an interest in being anybody else. She's never had a chance to be anything else. And that holds her back and gets her into trouble. Percy's own hubris and sometimes his rashness and his own issues over his trauma of having been basically abandoned and unacknowledged by Poseidon come back to bite him. I'm a little stuck as to what we really point to with Grover.
Well, Grover does get the least amount of screen time this season because he is first on his quest to find Pan. Along, this is like the coming of age quest for most satyrs. He gets trapped on Polyphemus's island, and he is able to reach out to Percy and warn him. It's like, quick, he's got, side note, I don't care what they say, there will never be funnier than a man having to hide in a dress. Because I do love the scene of Grover suddenly putting the dress on, putting the crown and the veil on, is just like, how do I look? And Percy's like, oh, beautiful.
You know what? Never mind. I think I do know what it is. I think it's the fact that Grover struggles with the notion that he can't save everybody, but he also struggles to accept the words, "It wasn't your fault." He almost sometimes can't not take responsibility. The denial really kind of runs strong with him. But again, it's not a sense where you see one person of the bunch who's really glaringly superior. And I even kind of love Luke's arc. He's such a fascinating character to me because here's a character who realizes the system is broken. It's being supervised by negligent, derelict, arrogant gods who just can't help but keep hitting repeat on their same mistakes, no matter how many times they should have really learned, each of them learned the same lessons.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, he also chooses the worst fucking solution he possibly could have of the entire bunch in terms of ways to dismantle the system and start over.
Yeah, this is the guy who basically said, yeah, this is the Guy Fawkes equivalent of saying, it's like, this isn't working. I'm going to go blow it up.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the usual online discourse, which I refuse to get within the length of Ray J's dick of these days.
Careful, we don't want to start triggering Lord Ares.
I watch AEW. I can make a baseball bat with nails sticking out of it. You know, we're basically talking about kind of Killmonger or Thanos or, you know, the several other villains where the really myopic dumb fucks will get like, oh, Killmonger was right. No, Killmonger acknowledged the right problem. Killmonger went absolutely straight off the rails in terms of his solution. He didn't have the right idea. Whereas by comparison, Magneto eventually kind of comes around. He eventually kind of gets the idea.
Say this is why there's all those memes about, it's like, if you're identifying with so and so, yeah, what is, like, if you think Tyler Durden is the hero, you clearly missed the point of the book, kind of a thing.
Oh,
Just because a character recognizes what the problem is, and it is a problem, doesn't mean that they know the best way to find a solution.
No, I mean sometimes it's kind of the easiest way to kind of telegraph who the villain is.
Mm-hmm.
Is the one who most clearly understands the problem, and you're just waiting for the moment when they decide that they want to solve the ant problem by dropping a nuclear bomb on the anthill.
Pretty much. Yeah, kind of reminds me of the Kingsman movies. You have the two villains played by Samuel L. Jackson and Julianne Moore, who recognize real problems, and you find yourself identifying, going, yeah, those are real problems. Their solutions don't make a lick of sense and are probably not the best way to go about things. So again, just because a character has acknowledged a problem doesn't mean they're always right. You can share a viewpoint with a villain as long as you're just not, agreeing with their solution.
Yeah. Pretty much. And I mean, you and I went to school together. How many people did we go to school with for every, out of context meme or line or whatever that they posted to Facebook to try to sound deep? I mean, God, for me, you mentioned Fight Club. For me, it's the motherfuckers where I go, honey, I'll rent the DVD. I will buy the pizza. I will buy the beer if you swear that this time you will stay for the last 15 minutes of Scarface.
Good one.
And then they marry the girls who grow up to be Joker and Harley couples goals.
Oh, geez, yeah. Ladies, if you think Joker and Harley are the ideal couple, please go find yourself a therapist, okay?
Please dump Asswit McGee.
All right. Well, I think we've covered everything we need to cover here
I
with
believe we
the
have.
show. I think we've gone off on enough of a tangent about Luke.
So
here.
have I at this point, have I all but talked to you over the last hour out of ever doing a podcast with me again?
We'll talk. We'll see. Did you want in on Fallout?
I would love in on Fallout.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's okay. So those of you who follow us here at TV Party tonight, Mark Radulich and I will be here next week. We are going to do a quick episode talking about the Muppet Show. We're going to be talking about the new episode that's coming out. That hopefully, if it's a big enough hit, this actually becomes a regular thing on streaming. And please, God, let it happen. The world is a much better place when we have more Muppets in it.
2 words, more Muppets.
Thank you. You know, I introduced Anne to the Alice Cooper episode this last weekend.
Really?
Yeah, she'd never seen it.
Huh.
Oh, she loved it. I need a pen. I need a pen. My soul for a pen. No, wait, I have other plans for that. I love vintage Alice Cooper. So we're going to be doing that. The week after that, we are going to be looking at Fallout Season 2. That's going to be myself, Andrew Orozco, Kat, one of our newer contributors, is going to be coming on for that.
Yay.
And yeah, looks like Sean Comer will be joining us. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. It's going to be interesting because I didn't get to do the first season of Fallout review. That one went to another guy here on the network. And so, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm a huge Fallout fan. I love the series. I love pretty much anything Walton Goggins has been in. I think he is rapid. Thank God he is finally getting the recognition he deserves because he has been an amazing actor for quite some time.
I'm excited because, to be honest, I haven't watched the second season yet. I haven't finished the first season. But the thing is, what I've seen of the first season, I like how it does what a lot of the Resident Evil movies try to do and tries to be an engaging story set in that universe, but without specifically following the beats of one game. But on the other hand, I'm a little more cautious about season 2 because what I'm hearing is it is instead basically a New Vegas adaptation. But from what I've heard from some people, not necessarily a good New Vegas adaptation. And I'm kind of watching this closely because I know that Amazon is really picking up a lot of video game adaptations. Like I know obviously first season of Fallout did fantastic, but then Like a Dragon pretty much tanked. God of War looks promising as hell.
Mandy Patinkin's going to play Odin. Perfect
I
casting.
love it. And I am pleading. I will burn goats in my bathtub if it means that you guys will absolutely hit a bullseye on the Mass Effect series. As far as I'm concerned, you can fuck up just about any other video game adaptation you want to. You want to ruin Metal Gear Solid, whatever. Go right ahead. You want to take a stab at Splinter Cell? Be my guest. Devil May Cry and Assassin's Creed? You probably won't be the worst adaptations of them at this point.
Wait, didn't Netflix already do Devil May Cry?
I think several people have done Devil May Cry at this point.
Well, I know they did an animated version.
But this is Mass Effect. You have... Fuck. If you want to absolutely desecrate Kingdom Hearts, I'll learn to live with it. If you just get Mass Effect right.
Okay, for the record, you know Amazon that wouldn't do Kingdom Hearts. That would obviously go to Disney for obvious reasons.
I'm just throwing franchise. It could be fucking Katamari Damacy and Sly Cooper.
Oh, wait. You would let Amazon fuck up Sly Cooper? Your baby?
If it means we get letter perfect Mass Effect. You know what? I'll live. This is Mass Effect.
Okay, everyone, remember to sacrifice the goat on November 7th. See, personally, I'm more excited because Amazon has recently announced that they have got the rights to Lore Olympus. We're going to get an animated series out of that. I am crazy excited, especially after the success we've seen with Amazon, with Spindle Horse, with Hell of a Boss and Has-Been Hotel.
Mhm.
So really, really looking forward to that. But yeah, that's what we got coming up in the next few weeks. Got a few more things coming up here on the schedule. So we got that. We're going to be looking at Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're going to be talking season 2 of One Piece is coming out here pretty soon. And it is TV Party tonight, but I will not be hosting it because we're going to be talking about the final season of The Boys. And Mark and Jesse will not hand the reins of that over to me. That's their baby. They've been reviewing that since day one before I took over the show. So they are going to keep that nice and safe. Got a comment here from Keegan.
Hi,
Keegan Garden. Hi, Keegan. Thanks for watching, man. Really appreciate it. We got that. In the meantime, looks like you got a Twitch TV address there. You're advertising, Mr. Comer. Can you tell our fans, our viewers, and our lovely listeners where they can find you?
Yes. First of all, I can finally quit saying it and acknowledging that I haven't lived up to it. As of last night, my stream is back. It is being basically retooled from the ground up. We have a story-based series of games that I am playing, just going through my entire 400-plus game backlog. It is simply called Games for Anne. And game number 1 is 2064 Read-Only Memories. We're only a few hours into it. It is a 16-bit point-and-click detective mystery with lots of cyberpunk and queer and delightfully referential vibes. And it's also goddamn heartwarming and wholesome, too. And, of course, my next stream that I probably got coming up is probably going to be on... Well, it's going to be this Friday, of course. But then we'll have...
We got another quote here from Keegan Garden. Are y'all the No, we are not the creators of Percy.
Bless your heart. God, no.
No, we're just
I've never done anything that brilliant in my life.
No, we are a couple of nerds based out of Kansas City who are working for the Radulich and Broadcasting Network and talking about one of our favorite shows, which is Percy Jackson. So no, we are not the creators.
Fun fact, we live literally down the road from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, as I was saying, so this coming Friday and Monday, usual streams, and then this Tuesday, got to shout this one out because after about 3 months away from the game, season 21 of Overwatch is launching, and I am jumping back into competitive, so I will probably be on sometime that evening to dive into the new season, the battle pass, any new game modes, the patch notes, and lots of me making people cry in low ranks as Tracer. And before I close my plugs out, I just kind of want to take the critic hat off a second and say, Alexis, it means absolutely the world to me that you allowed me to be on this show. I said at the start that this is the first time in an age when a podcast has actually made me nervous. Because, as I said on my last podcast with Mark, you and I just kind of left a lot of years of not talking kind of by the wayside. We've started to patch things up. And honestly, I can't remember the last time something made me this unexpectedly happy. This has been a privilege. I'm so thankful that you're willing to have me on for another show. And again, that's another one that is going to be circled real fucking big on my calendar because this is not going to not just be a chore, something that I have to do, something that feels like a job. This is me getting to have fun talking about nerdy shit that I like with one of my closest friends.
I was glad to have you on the show, man. It was a good review. You really brought up some really great points. So thank you. I really enjoyed having you on. Now, I should probably now already talked about my upcoming shows. Hang on. God, I have way too many tabs open. Curse of my life. So for the plugs that pay me, as I will forever call them, you started it, Mark. You started it with the Honeysuckle Hustle, and I'm never going to let you go for it.
Honeysuckle Hustle.
That's what he called it when he had AI write a song about me.
Oh, God, I forgot he mentioned that.
Yeah. To which I basically said, it's like, fine. It's like, you flooded the dam, buddy. Here comes the water. Okay? This is on you. Mark, I love you.
God.
Never going to drop this shit. But yes, this is what I actually do for a living. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic, makers of awesome handmade jewelry. And I usually don't do this, but I am going to do this. When you search Percy, check it out, because we do have Percy Jackson stuff. We got our Camp Half-Blood earrings. These are made out of upcycled, I try to say repurposed and upcycled at the same time. Upcycled Scrabble tiles. We also have a charm bracelet that is designed to represent, if you're a fan of Percy Jackson, the campers wear beads on their necklaces that would each represent a year at camp. That is what this is. It is a look at all the different beads that are on the various necklaces of the campers. By the end of the series, anyway. I think by now we are here. That's where the Golden Fleece is. So next season, the Titan's Curse season 3 of the show. It's going to be something to do with an arrow. Wonder what that could be. In the meantime, we also have awesome stuff. We have our handmade earrings that are in necklaces that are, handmade earrings and bracelets made out of Monopoly and Clue pieces. We got tons of stuff made out of dominoes and Scrabble tiles. And as far as the convention circuit, we are currently on winter break. If you know me, I don't do a lot of shows in the middle of winter just because driving in cold, icy winter roads kind of freaks me out. But we're getting ready because at the end of March, we're going to be doing Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City. Really excited. It's our home show. We never miss it. They've got some great guests coming. We're going to have Elijah Wood, William Shatner, Jared Padalecki, David Thornton, Paul Dini. Tom Ruger just got confirmed. So we have 2 of the creators of Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, and Pinky and the Brain showing up. Really cannot wait for that. Gonna go crazy 90s on all of this. And of course, if you can't make it out to the show, you can find us on Etsy. We also have a store on Handmade at Amazon. I am currently building a third shop on Shopify because I have no life. Waiting to get that fully published. Need to go in, cross the T's, dot the lowercase J's, all of that kind of stuff. And you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, screw you Twitter, never going back, and TikTok. That is Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. So thank you so much for listening and joining us tonight. For Mr. Sean Comer, I am Alexis Hejna saying, for the love of God, stop listening to prophecies.